You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Sometimes Sometimes writers feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
My name is Jessie. I'm a United States Special Forces widow. This gives me a unique perspective on the world around us. If you're willing to listen, I'll tell you how I see it, and I won't pull any punches. This is my POV, which stands for Point of View.
All right, it's Jessie. How y'all doing out there today? And of course, I shouldn't even have to say it. I do miss you when we're not talking. Yes, I do. Now, I am making my way over to the chat room at KLRNRadio.com. And I got a few friends already there waiting for me. So, hi Bill, hi Ron, good to see you guys. Now, for those of you who are unaware, there is something that everyone is kind of waiting on with, well, bated breath. Trump is going to address Korea's National Assembly. Not in an hour, not in 20 minutes, as it's like everyone is waiting on it right this minute. Now, I've got to follow up to the shooter incident in Texas, and this concerns the shooter in the Department of Defense before I get started. The Department of Defense has requested that the Inspector General review their handling of criminal records, in particular in the case of former Airman Bleep, after his 2012 domestic violence convictions. The shooter was found guilty by a general court-martial on 2 charges of domestic assault against his wife and stepson under the Uniform Code of Military Justice. He was sentenced to 12 months confinement at Naval Consolidated Brig Miramar in California before being released with a bad conduct discharge and a reduction in grade to E1. In addition to the comprehensive review directed by the Secretary of the Air Force, Heather Wilson, and Chief of Staff of the Air Force, General David Goldfein, the Department of Defense IG, Inspector General, will initiate an investigation to determine whether information about the shooter's conviction was properly entered into the National Criminal Information Center database. Thank you, Host Kitty, for knocking things off my desk. The Department of Defense Inspector General will also review relevant policies and procedures to ensure records from other cases from across the Department of Defense have been reported correctly. So it looks like this is going to be one of those, oh, we messed up big time. And they are going to take steps to correct the problem. Unfortunately, for those in Sutherland Springs, Texas, it is too little, too late. Now, for those of you keeping an ear on my show, I do have the audio for Trump's speech pulled up, and I can cut in if he says anything of intrigue. So whether or not, when exactly he's going to start is beyond my knowledge. But I'll keep an eye on it, and we will see what happens. There is a lot of other news to cover. Now, I didn't do it last night, and I know I didn't do it. Yep, stack of show prep. Why didn't I do it last night? Because I really didn't have a stack. I was reading off a few things on my screen and speaking from my heart. That's the only way I know how to put it. So that's why you didn't hear it. Alright, moving right along. Some of the things we're going to be talking about. We're going to talk, of course, about North and South Korea. You have to be living under a rock not to realize we're going to talk about that. Trump's softening rhetoric. I know I don't normally talk about what the president has to say, but he's talking about my area that I cover. So, yeah, he fits in. And there's been some reports of activity at the Parchin nuclear facility. Yes. Now, that's the nuclear facility. Actually, excuse me, I just named an Iranian nuclear facility. Got to get my countries and their nukes straight. But the North Korean nuclear site, not the test site that collapsed, the actual reactor site, there's been reports of activity there. Is North Korea going to be absolutely crazy enough, and yes, I'm going to say crazy enough, to actually launch or test while the President of the United States is on the ground? Now, he is leaving South Korea later tonight. Just for reference, folks, it is not a little after 9 here in the United States. It is a little after 11 a.m. in Seoul, South Korea. And it's a little after 11 a.m. on November the 8th. Just to give you guys a reference. So he's about a little less than 12 hours ahead of us. Actually, a little more than 12. He's about 14 hours ahead. So, like I said, I do have everything queued up that when he starts to speak, if there's something of interest, I can jump to it. I do find comfort in the fact that the Department of Defense isn't waiting around. Now, I do want to comment on President Moon of South Korea. And I'm going to say this, and I've said it before. President Moon is a dove. Let's get that straight. He wants to talk. Sound familiar? Yeah, he thinks we can talk. North Korea out of their nuclear weapons program. Wah, wah. We've been trying that for 20 some odd years, kids. Let's just get this straight. It hasn't worked. Somebody thinks it's actually suddenly going to work. I don't think so. I really don't. I have no reason to believe that talks with North Korea will work. Why? Well, got a few reasons for that one. North Korea is trading with one of the countries who literally, and I do mean literally, wrote the book on evading sanctions. Iran. And for those of you who are new to my show, let's do my scorecard, just to show you how interconnected these pieces really are. All right, let's start off. Why don't we start with North Korea, since, well, that's going to be one of the focuses of our show, tonight's show. All right, North Korea. Big brother, China. Come on, you got to have that one straight. Their second favorite trading partner, Russia. Where have we heard that country mentioned before? I mean, really? Now, of course, Russia would like to convince us that North Korea is 2 to 3 years away from missiles that could hit the United States. And they're going, oh, we just need to back off and talk this out. What? What? I'm going to say Russia is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. But I'm going to talk about some of the other things that came out. All right. Russia claims North Korea is 2 to 3 years away from being able to carry out a long-range strike, and says, you know, give diplomacy a chance. Excuse me, but there were 6-party talks. There were 4-party talks. There have been agreements, over 20 years worth of agreements. And talk hasn't worked before. So unless Russia, which, might I remind you folks, just gave North Korea a new internet connection. Yeah. China's been backing off on being North Korea's ISP. Or internet service provider, for those of you who don't speak geek. And so Russia stepped in to fill the void. Alright, just a quick update. The festivities on the floor of the Korean National Assembly have started. Now, President Trump has yet to make his way to the podium. I am watching as I'm guessing President Moon is doing the introductions and his own speech first. It is customary on a foreign visit for the host country to speak first. And there are flashbulbs going off crazy. So let's see if they're doing
25 years to make a state visit to Korea, representing the United States of America as a great country and Korea's enduring and long-standing ally. And your speech to the National Assembly today.
Yep, more of the same usual rhetoric. Yes, I did join it for just a moment, just to see what was going on. And yes, I know you heard it. I am patched into the White House feed, folks. So relax. Now, why I do not think North Korea will do anything while Trump is on the peninsula. Why I don't think so. I think if they do anything while our president is on the peninsula, it could be construed as an act of war. Now, that's not to say things are all that peachy. Now, I just realized I never finished my scorecard. So, let's get through the scorecard real quick, and I'll try not to get sidetracked this time. North Korea trading with China. North Korea's big brother is China. North Korea is trading with Russia. North Korea is also trading with the wonderful country of Iran. Iran is backing up the Houthi rebels in Yemen, which is essentially a failed state, defending Bashar al-Assad in Syria with the help of Russia. And you see how the puzzle pieces continue to connect. Iran and China and Russia are all trying to extend their influence both in the Middle East and in the Asia-Pacific region. Make no mistake. That's why China is engaging what they're calling a One Belt, One Road project, which is their modern day version of the Silk Road. And I will say that, at least according to the Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said on Tuesday that Putin and Trump are expected to discuss North Korea at the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Forum being held in, of all places, Vietnam this week. I believe this is why President Trump has extended his Asia trip by 1 day. Is to go to this meeting. Now, Russia has been flying fighter jets off the coast of Korea. But I haven't heard why. My suspicion, yes, my suspicion, and I don't know this for sure, is that Russia is going to come out on the side of North Korea. However, I'm going to say that maybe not, and here's why. Russia loves and wants a warm water seaport. Yeah, they have the one in Crimea that they stole from the Ukraine. Oh yeah. This all ties together, friends. However, they can always use a second one. Oh, let's take a brief listen to Trump as he has taken the podium.
On increasing military cooperation and improving the trade relationship between our nations on the principle of fairness and reciprocity. Through this entire visit, it has been both our pleasure and our honor to create and celebrate a long friendship between the United States and the Republic of Korea.
All right, he is doing the usual accolades. I will join it again in just a moment. Now, the one thing that has been consistent throughout the theme of this week with Trump's Asia-Pacific visit, and this is something I have no doubt in, is that we have the abilities to defend our allies. We have the ability to defend our allies. There is no doubt of that in my mind. What concerns me, and I'm sure several other people, would be the damage that would happen in Seoul. Now, the Kremlin has also said that they're not cooperating with. There's been no cooperation so far between Russia and the United States on North Korea. Just quote-unquote periodic exchanges of views. Now, just to remind you, the idea of that Russia's idea of cooperation is to present very, very, in my mind, dumb ideas. And Secretary Haley, and you know I like her, has about had it with North Korea.
But it has already started to take effect. What we are seeing is they continue to be provocative, they continue to be reckless, and at that point, there's not a whole lot the Security Council is going to be able to do from here when you've cut 90% of the trade and 30% of the oil. So having said that, I have no problem kicking it to General Mattis because I think he has plenty of options.
Yes, even Ambassador Haley is getting tired of dealing with North Korea, and she's realizing that the UN Security Council isn't going to be able to say much more. Let's see what rejoin President Trump for just a moment.
One of the great nations of the world, and I congratulate you. In less than one lifetime, South Korea climbed from total devastation to among the wealthiest nations on earth.
He is talking economics, a subject he is very comfortable and familiar with. So we will possibly rejoin him one more time, but it is time to pay those radio station bills. Now, we're going to discuss a little bit more about North Korea when we come back, and then we're going to talk about the confusion and chaos in Saudi Arabia as some of these highfalutin royal princes, because there's like 5,000 of them, are under quote-unquote house arrest in, of all places, a Ritz-Carlton. Yes, a Ritz-Carlton hotel. You heard me. All right, folks. I will see you on the other side.
You can lay down if you wanna. You can run away if you wanna. You can pretend that this is totally okay if you wanna. You can play dead if you wanna. Forget what they said if you wanna. Turn your back on the country needing you right now. But I don't wanna.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now. 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Sometimes writers feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
You can lay down if you wanna. You can run away if you wanna. You can pretend that this is totally okay if you wanna. You can play dead if you wanna. Forget what they said if you wanna. Turn your back on the country needing you right now, but I don't wanna.
All right, thank y'all for hanging in there with me while we paid those radio station bills. It appears that President Trump has gotten to North Korea, so let's take a listen.
Have electricity. Parents bribe teachers in hopes of saving their sons and daughters from forced labor. More than 1 million North Koreans died of famine in the 1990s, and more continue to die of hunger today. Among children under the age of 5, nearly 30% of afflicted and are afflicted by stunted growth due to malnutrition. And yet, in 2012 and 2013, the regime spent an estimated $200 million, or almost half the money that it allocated to improve living standards for its people, to instead build even more monuments, towers, and statues to glorify its dictators. What remains of the meager harvest of the North Korean economy is distributed according to perceived loyalty to a twisted regime, far from valuing its people as...
All right, I'm going to let him continue, and we're going to get on to other topics. I'm sure I'll have some outstanding audio clips from this speech for you in coming days. Now, let's finish up with what I was going to say. All right. The U.S., the only way, and I've confirmed this with a couple of my military friends and buddies, the absolute only way to confirm we got everything out of North Korea is boots on the ground. Now, what kind of boots? That's one of those, it's up for debate. A preventive strike would not, repeat, would not destroy all of North Korea's capabilities. There's thousands of artillery pieces pointed at Seoul. Now, I'm going to grant you, we are talking World War II artillery, and I don't know how well their maintenance has been, because goodness knows they have a lot of airplanes, but only a few are flying because they've had to cannibalize. Yeah, they've swiped parts off one plane to keep another one flying, and they do it all the time. So, North Korea, of course, is up to the usual rhetoric, as if anybody thought that was an option. Now, I do have one little clip from Secretary of State Tillerson I was meaning to get to before I took that break, so let's play it now.
The diplomatic and other efforts of the past 20 years to bring North Korea to a point of denuclearization have failed. So we have 20 years of failed approach.
And when you add to that the quote from Trump, the era of strategic patience is over, and he talked about the very weak rhetoric in the last 25 years when he was with Prime Minister Abe. And he has branded the country a threat and a menace to civilized world international peace and stability. Now, of course, do I need to write this press release for you? North Korea criticized his remarks, called them foolish, blah, 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 blah. Come on. And they called him deranged. Well, quite frankly, I'd rather have, and I am no Trump fan, no Trump supporter, but I would rather have a President Trump who's not going to back down to this lunatic of the North than I would discussing how we're going to deal with a nuclear missile headed our way. All right, let's get on to some other topics. Remember that Iran nuclear deal? Yeah, the one that's not worth the paper it's printed on? U.S. lawmakers have signaled they plan to ensure the United States complies with the 2015 Iran nuclear deal, despite Trump not signing, saying that Iran is within the standards. Now, this is all, we're getting somewhere, just bear with me. The Iran nuclear deal had lots of secret side deals we were never told about, friends. Lots of them. Now, the EU says, you can't renegotiate this. This is done. This is over. And the head of the United Nations nuclear watchdog said it would be a pity if Iran were to cease provisionally implementing the additional protocol, which to give the agency more tools to verify the country's nuclear compliance. And if they stop, we're going to have even more problems. We already have problems. You realize the inspectors are shown what Iran wants them to see. And remember, Iran wrote the book on evading sanctions. So I'm willing to bet, and if you're willing to take this one, Iran already has another nuclear facility spun up, or almost spun up, somewhere buried under a mountain that we haven't found yet. Okay? They have it. I told you North Korea was up to no good. I told you they were working on nuclear stuff. And somebody just asked me in chat, who cares what the EU thinks? Well, unfortunately, it was a P5+1 deal, which means we signed along with the Europeans. So we can't necessarily renegotiate the whole thing on our own. Because, quite frankly, Iran won't talk to us. So that's why we care, at least to a point. Now, the additional protocol was created in the 1990s to smoke out covert arms-related activities. After discovery of Iraq's secret nuclear weapons program, and of course, North Korea's and Romania's. North Korea and Romania's playing around with plutonium. Now, remember, I'm talking about 1990s. Iran hasn't said whether they're going to abandon the additional protocols, but remember, they keep the inspectors out of all military sites. Now, Houston, if you were going to build a nuclear weapon, you're not going to build it in downtown Tehran. You're going to build it at a nuclear site, a military site, where you can lock it up and keep people out. And for those of you who are new to my show, I got one for you. How many of you realize that North Korea is a weapons proliferation state? Anybody? Anybody think they are? Well, guess what? Take a listen.
10 years ago, the North Koreans transferred a plutonium production reactor to Syria. It was crushed by the Israelis. If it had not been crushed, that reactor could be providing plutonium not only to Syrians, but to others who have traipsed through Syria, and these are pretty unsavory folks. And that's an image that goes to nuclear terrorism we don't like to contemplate. So we need to somehow impress upon the North Koreans that's not a move we want to see again.
Now, as I've said before, and I strongly believe, you know that plane load of cash Obama flew into Tehran, Iran, not long before he left office, going, yeah, I just put a price on Americans' head. I will leave this to the next guy to figure out. I am willing to bet that part of that money ended up in Pyongyang. And everyone's worried about the ballistic missiles and the artillery pointed at Seoul. That's not the only areas that are in play.
A decade ago, we were worried primarily with North Korea about, one, a single actor, and number two, a conventional war that might take place. Today, if you look at most strategists when they're concerned about North Korea, they realize that any conflict we may have multiple actors involved, and we're certainly look at multiple domains. No longer are we limited to conventional war. We may very well be looking now at nuclear, cyber, and even space challenges that we have.
All right, so you've got Iran, who I believe has or will already written that check for the ICBM technology that North Korea is developing, because they know they can't get away with that much. They can get away with some. North Korean and Iranian diplomats have gone back and forth multiple times. Some of them for seemingly innocuous reasons, and others for reasons I have no doubt were less than honorable, less than savory. The scientists have gone back and forth. Now, why do I bring Iran into North Korea? Well, North Korea has sold every 100% of the weapon systems they have developed. Not 98%, not 95%. They've sold 100%. So if they have miniaturized a nuclear warhead, it's only time, if they haven't already, before they sell it to someone like Iran. And I don't know, I haven't read the entire nuclear agreement. Even I couldn't watch that much paint dry, folks, to find out if Iran can purchase technology under the nuclear agreement. Now, why does all this matter? Well, believe it or not, as much as I dislike Iran, they're more or less stable, and a stable Middle East is a calm Middle East, which brings about a couple of things. One, it means fewer boots on the ground from America and coalition partners. Now, please keep in mind, Turkey is actually in NATO. I call them a frenemy. Yeah, a frenemy. They're friends, but they can also pull some enemy cards out. Now, what's going on with Saudi Arabia? King Salman is trying to consolidate power. And he's 32, he's ambitious. And he's been threatening to clean out quote-unquote corruption for months. And he wants to reduce Iran's influence in the Middle East. Well, I can't say that's a bad thing. I told you all this tied together. Now, the first domino to fall was the Lebanese Prime Minister. Prime Minister Saad al-Harari. What does Lebanon have to do with Saudi Arabia? Harari's family has extensive business ties in Saudi Arabia. And you know the old saying, it's not what you know but who you know, and that goes triple in Saudi Arabia. Now, the unity government of Lebanon includes this other little group called Hezbollah. Hezbollah is backed by who? Iran. Now, here's where the religion comes in, friends. Iran and Saudi Arabia are opposite sides of the Muslim spectrum. Iran is Shiite, Saudi is Sunni. Shias and Sunnis don't like each other. Actually, Ron in the chat room, he is slightly better than Attila the Hun because he's actually given women permission to start driving next year. So that is a better. At least maybe they can have a little bit more freedom. So that's why he's seen as progressive. He actually is loosening some of the restrictions on women in the country. Now, Saudi is Sunni, Iran is Shia. The feud on that goes back millennia over who should succeed the Prophet Muhammad. Now, so we've said why Lebanon is important. Harari's resignation cemented the appearance that he was a puppet of Saudi Arabia. And he made his announcement from Riyadh. Yeah, the Prime Minister of Lebanon, where Iran is building weapons. Yes, Iran has weapons factories in Lebanon, Syria, and possibly in Iraq. I'm trying to confirm the Iraqi ones. Now, Lebanese media said, oh, he's under house arrest in Riyadh, blah, blah, blah. No, he's returned home. Relax. The Hezbollah representative in the Lebanese government has declared that they will not accept Harari's resignation until he returns to Lebanon and delivers it there. He is on his way back. So he was never under house arrest. Now, Salman is not only the crown prince, he's the defense minister. And he is very much hardline anti-Iran. He is harshly critical of Iran. Come on, Sunni Shia, of course. Now, the Riyadh Ritz-Carlton has been turned into a 5-star jail. Yes, a 5-star jail. For all sorts of Mohammed bin Salman's political rivals or quote-unquote corrupt government officials. Yes, they have been sequestered in a 492-room Riyadh Ritz-Carlton, which the government has commandeered for the purpose of turning into the world's most posh prison. Now, these of course are very senior in the Saudi government, and many of them are the most richest men in the world. Yes, some of the most rich people in the world. This in turn could have global economic consequences, because many of these people who were arrested have invested heavily in the United States stock market. And if the government takes over their wealth and takes over their portfolios, what will happen to those stocks that they own? Some of them own very sizable very sizable percentages of companies. So now the Ritz-Carlton has announced it will accept no new reservations until, and they gave a date, December 1st, which leads me to believe this will be concluded prior to the new year. However, not all of the government officials are being housed in the Ritz-Carlton, just the most prominent. And of course, that's without access to the quote-unquote outside world. And of course, it was considered unsafe to put many of the people involved in a prison. And the Ritz-Carlton was viewed as the most dignified solution. Now, is there hope for reform in the Middle East? I'd always like to think so. However, I don't think it's time for bunkers yet. I'm watching for later in the year, but not tonight. The cynical view of Salman's actions is that he's consolidating power, removing rivals to the throne, and of course using Iran as the boogeyman. Other foreign observers have expressed optimism that Salman is trying to truly reform. Now, he has granted women the right to drive starting next year. And Ron, if you've never seen drivers in Saudi, a woman driver in the States actually looks sane in comparison. Any woman driver. They do all kinds of things. Then you have missiles that were fired out of Yemen into Saudi. And Yemen is the Houthi-backed Iranian rebels that could actually start a war that Saudi declared an act of war perpetrated by Iran on their kingdom. Now the missile was shot down, but it was aimed at Riyadh. And so we don't know where that's going. But that is the summary version of what is going on in Saudi Arabia. Is it a consolidation of power, or is Salman truly trying to rebrand one of the most extreme Muslim countries in the world? Just remember, folks, Saudi Arabia is the home of Wahhabi Islam. Wahhabi Islam brought us Daesh, aka ISIS. Wahhabi Islam brought us 9/11 and Osama bin Laden. Is he truly trying to reform the country, or is this nothing more than a political power grab? I don't know this man's heart. And I'm thinking that the reality is somewhere in the middle. All right, you regulars know what's coming. You new listeners, fasten your seatbelts and hang on for the ride. Because, just as a reminder, you can always find me on Twitter at Jesse's POV. And when I'm live on the air, you can join me in the chat room at KLRNradio.com/chat. And on that note, my friends,